If I had to start from scratch as a coach with no website, no experience, no following whatsoever, here is the exact plan I'd use to earn $100,000 a year or more as a coach. By the way, my name's Cham Tang, co-founder of Authentic Education, and I've helped over 3,000 coaches do exactly this, all by simplifying their business with 3 simple systems. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through number 1, the easiest way to create a coaching package that people are actually inspired to buy. Number 2, how to consistently attract clients, even if you're a newbie or you're not tech savvy. And number 3, the only 3 things you need to focus on so you can stop spinning your wheels and actually start succeeding. Now, the first thing to nail before you even begin thinking about how to market yourself is what you're going to offer people. This is where most coaches, they run into big mistake. That keeps them trapped in this confusion and this treadmill. So how do you create a coaching package that works to attract your dream clients? When we're talking about coaching package, you should not be selling for an hourly rate. You should be selling based on the result. And that result that you give people is summed up in what we call a coaching package. I'll give you this 5-step process of how to do it. First off, you have to begin with the end in mind and think, who is the actual person that you're trying to help? So if you imagine your ideal client right about now, that ideal client is a specific person. Specificity sells. I would say about 90% of the time, it's a younger version of you. So it is not a target market like a woman between the age of 30 and 50 or anything like that. It's a specific person such as Rebecca, 42-year-old mother of 2 kids, and now her kids have grown up. So a specific person. I would like for you to give that person a name and an age. So not just any woman between the age of 30 and 50 who's a parent, but Rebecca, 42 years old. Where possible too, I would go to the next level and try and find a photo of that person. That's a younger photo of yourself. Maybe it's someone that you know, a client, a sister, a mother, a brother, but obviously if it's a woman, not a brother, you want to have a specific person. You want to have a visual image of that person, someone that you already understand their problems, their likes, their dislikes, because when we start to create the package and we start to create the marketing as well, you want to be able to ask, what would Rebecca want? What does Rebecca like? Not, what is this random 30 to 50-year-old it's not going to be very powerful. When you're looking down the barrel of a camera, if you decide to do a video, you want to be imagining speaking to Rebecca, not speaking to some random 30 to 50-year-old person. So once you've got that person, in this example, if we call her Rebecca, aged 42, we next want to start to think about what is that person's problem. What is that person's problem? This could be all the problems that you had when you were younger. This could be the problem of a client that you've had, even if it was a free client or a paid client or a family member or a friend. And we start to list out all of those problems. So as an example, the problem could be that they're unfulfilled. The problem could be that she's lost. The problem could be that she's got 2 kids and she's got what we call mum guilt, that she's not looking after them while juggling everything. She could be burnt out. That could be the problem. But we start to list all of those problems. We always want to make sure we start with the problem because that is what people are walking around thinking. Don't start with the positive, what you help people with, the goals, the dreams, the desires. Because a lot of people start with the positive, like, I want to help people reach fulfillment. But what's the actual problem? And who is the person that you're helping? When we start with the positive and we think about fulfillment, when I start drilling down into the problem is actually that she's lost. So what's the opposite of being lost? It's not fulfilled, it's living on purpose. So now your free event or your strategy session or your business or your coaching package is more about helping people live on purpose because you started with the problem. And now it's a direct hit for your client, your ideal client problems, your ideal client's, pain points, what they're interested in, what's going to grab their attention the most. So we start with the problem. Next, we think about what is the opposite of that problem. I'm going to use a very specific wording here, and the word I'm going to use is prize. The reason I use the word prize is lots of coaches, they focus on their modality, like I help people, align their values, or they'll use very vague, fuzzy language like I help people step into their power, or I help them with stress. Specificity sells. So if we can be more specific, we're more likely to attract our dream client. See, if we pause here for a second, you are asking your ideal client for a specific amount of money to invest in the program, a specific amount of time to invest in the program. But in return, if you can't give a specific outcome, they are a lot less likely to want to do business with you and inquire about anything you have to offer, booking in for a free session, paying for a coaching program, or anything at all. So we have to get very specific. Think of it like this. Imagine your ideal client has a vision board. And on that vision board, they have a visual representation of those goals. You want to be able to point to something on their vision board, a goal on their vision board, and say, see that thing? See that prize that you're going after? That's what I help you get. Now, if we put it like that, that's very difficult to do. If you're saying, I help people step into their power, show me the vision of where that is. It's not tangible. It's not a visual thing. People like to know what they're going to get. And one of the reasons and one of the ways they know what they're going to get is they can see it. They can feel it. So the prize, by its very nature, it needs to be quite visual. It needs to be a dream outcome. If I help people deal with stress or align their values, that's good, but that's the modality. That's a step on the way. That's not the final outcome. That's the journey, not the destination. That would be like if I'm selling airplane tickets, I talk about how amazing the seats are and how the food's going to be so great. Don't sell the seats. Don't sell, the length of the flight. Sell the trip to Paris and how amazing seeing the Eiffel Tower is and eating a baguette at the Louvre. So we want to always sell the destination. So if you think about a vision board, that is the destination. Stress, aligning my values, stepping into my power, all of that stuff, that's the journey on the way. So think about the prize, the ultimate thing they get excited about. So this could be maybe her dream career that she's got. I'll put dream C there. Maybe it's a harmonious and happy relationship with her family. So I'm going to put there, happy family. So these are all the prize outcomes that Rebecca would want. So now we've got the person, we've got the problem. This, by the way, person and problem is known as your niche. Your niche is your person and problem. It's not the prize and what you help people with. So we've got the person, we've got the problem, we've got the prize. Next, how are we going to go from here to there? How are we going to go from their problem to their prize? It is what we call a path. People pay for the path. So this path is either going to be 3, 4, or 5 steps. Maximum 5, minimum 3 steps that take us from where they are to where they would love to be. So if we start listing out all the things that they have to be, do, or have to get from here to there, now we can get into your modality. Now it could be, align your values. Now it could be something like create a vision. Now it could be building habits, removing blockages, accountability, all of those things. But as you can see, this does not come first because people aren't interested in that. What do most people walk around thinking about? Pain or pleasure? Problems or goals? That's what they think about. So this comes third. Now you've got their interest because it's a bridge from problem to prize. So we create now a path or a system around that. So this could be step 1, values. Step 2, habits. Step 3, accountability. And you name that your system. So the 5 steps, we've got person here. Step 1, person, problem, prize, path. And the final step here is what we call the paid package. This path, by the way, is free. We teach them this path for free. This package happens to be paid. So how do we implement this path? Well, we implement it through a paid package. Not an hourly session, a paid package. The best thing to offer when you first begin is an 8-week breakthrough coaching program for $495. I'll repeat that again. An 8-week program, I know this chart is getting messy, for $495. If your topic is parenting, it would be an 8-week parenting breakthrough for $495. It's just a tried and true method. If your topic is leadership, it's an 8-week leadership breakthrough program for $495. In terms of getting from $0 to $100,000, what does that actually look like? Like, what is the maths if you're trying to build it from scratch? Everyone mentions 6 figures, $100,000, but sometimes it's quite obtuse or quite fuzzy how people actually get there. I'll give you an example of what this looks like. If you want to get to this first initial milestone of $100,000 per year through coaching, and then after that, obviously you can go to $200,000, $500,000 and scale. First off, you need to get to 30 clients per month. That sounds like a lot, but there's also millions of people that probably live in your city right now. So 30 clients isn't that many people at all. You will not be seeing, though, 30 clients every week. So it's not 30 clients a week. You see them each fortnight or every 2 weeks. So 30 clients, you see them each fortnight, every 2 weeks, which means that each week you do 15 hours a week of coaching. In terms of what you charge them for your coaching, it would be $300 a month. So now you've got 30 clients at $300 a month. That ends up being roughly $9,000 per month. Times it by 12, and then we are at the magical figure of well over $100,000. $108,000 for 15 hours a week, charging $300 a month. $300 a month is very, very reasonable. It's at the bottom of what most professional coaches would charge. And don't forget, you're only working 15 hours a week or doing 15 hours of coaching. You can easily scale this to 200, 300. This does not include group coaching. This does not include courses or workshops or retreats or anything like that. So that's how you go from $0 to $100,000. So to be clear, you first offer your client an 8-week breakthrough coaching program for $495, and you see them every week for 8 weeks. After that is over, you transition them to monthly ongoing coaching for $300 a month, where now you are seeing them once every 2 weeks instead. But how do we attract clients? Where are these clients going to magically come from? In order to talk about that, I want to ask you a question. And that is, what is marketing? Why do people put out social media posts or anything like that? Let me give you, hands down, the best definition of marketing. This is not the e-commerce, Google, ChatGPT definition. This is our definition as coaches, course creators, or what I like to call difference makers. The definition of marketing is we are building relationships with people until they feel ready to buy. Now, with that in place, I want to give you my powerful 3-step system for marketing, and it is an acronym. I call it the Marketing MAP. The M in Marketing MAP, it stands for meet. The first thing you've got to do when you think about marketing out there in the marketplace, whether it's social media, emails, presenting, or doing anything, is our first major goal in trying to build relationships with people until they feel ready to buy, is we need to find places to meet our ideal client. I'm going to go over that in a few minutes' time. Once we meet our ideal client, let's say you meet your ideal client on an Instagram reel or a Facebook paid ad or something like that. You have to ask them for something at the end. You don't ask for their email address for some random download that they're not going to really read. You don't ask them to join your coaching program because you've got an amazing special on for $100 just for this month. People don't buy just because you're ready to sell. The best thing that I've seen, hands down, to ask for as difference makers is we want to ask for this magical thing called time. The reason we ask for time is because in order to build a relationship, it must start with time. Think about every relationship that you've built before with your partner, your friend, your family member. It probably started with time. Let me give you the magical equation that kicks off a series of cascading events of success. First off, as difference makers, as coaches, I bet we all love this thing called teaching. We love teaching, educating people on things. So when we teach people things, the trick is that teaching people things, it requires time. I can't teach you without this thing called time. You've been watching me now for about 10 minutes or so. I've been teaching you, and that has required time. So we ask for time because that builds a relationship. But why will people give us time? Because we're offering them to teach and learn something. What do we teach them? Solutions to problems. The best thing to teach people is solutions to their problems. So we want time, and in order to do that, we need teaching. Now, once we have time, that goes to the next thing, because teaching equals time plus this other thing called trust. When you teach people something, 2 things happen. Their trust in you as a professional goes up. That professional trust, also known as credibility, authority. When you teach people stuff, they begin to trust you, but also they understand your personality, what you're like. If you make a few jokes or if you smile. Not that I smile that much, but you get the picture. If you do those kind of things, and they get to understand you, your personal story, etc., etc. So there's professional trust, and then there's personal trust wrapped up in here as well. But the most important thing, teaching equals time plus trust. But now you have earned the right to ask people to take action. Whatever your next thing is, you can ask people to take action on that thing. Whether it is, hey, you watched that 2-minute Instagram reel, would you like to DM me if you want to learn how to work with me more? You watch this 5-minute Facebook ad. Next step, take action. I've got a free event coming up. You might want to check this out. It could be, I've done a free strategy session for you, teaching you, spent time, trust, maybe 45 minutes. Now take action, invest in this paid coaching program or course. So we ask for time. How do we ask for time? By teaching. Teaching, time, trust, take action. I'll give you the example of when this doesn't work for most people. Hey, you've never heard of me before, but I've got such an amazing special. It's normally $500, but it's yours for the low, low price of $50 because I've got a special on. Take action on this. They're not going to do that. Why? Because they don't trust you. Why don't they trust you? They haven't spent time with you. There's no relationship there. Why haven't they spent time with you? You can't just ask people, hey, give me half an hour of your time, because you're not teaching them anything. There's nothing in it for them. So teaching, time, trust, taking action. So back to this. If you want to build a successful coaching business as fast as possible, we need to attract clients. And that means marketing. The marketing, what is marketing? Building relationships with people until they feel ready to buy. How do we do it? The MAP acronym. Meet your ideal client, ask for their time. Once you have time, you can present whatever your offer is. So the P stands for present your offer. This is asking them to take action. This could be a free offer for a free strategy session. It could be a paid offer for your paid, retreat, workshop, or course. I'll give you an example of how this works. So it could work like this. Let's say Rebecca, 42 years old, wants to go from unfulfilled to finding purpose in her life, something like that, just as an example off the top of our head. We might do an Instagram story, an Instagram post. Then from there, we might ask for time. That could be a strategy session. I might call that strategy session something like a parenting strategy session or a happiness strategy session. More on that in a few minutes' time as well. And then during that strategy session, I'm teaching, I'm building trust, spending time. If it's a match, I ask her to take action into my $495, 8-week breakthrough coaching program. And then when that finishes, if she's a match, then go to the monthly ongoing coaching after that. So this is where it begins. These are the beginner milestones. So it doesn't matter what type of marketing it is. We meet our ideal client, ask for their time, present the offer. So as an example, once you start to get this working, you can start to introduce other different marketing methods. So there was a couple of students of mine just recently, Erica Parker Price from the United States. She used this marketing method called Meetup, which I'll mention in a second. Created a free meetup group, delivered a lot of value. And then at the end of that meetup group, offers a strategy session. Her whole niche is career. So a career strategy session into her program. Her program was a little bit more than this though. But just using this session while she was on holidays, she generated over $10,000 US. And she only started like a couple of months ago and she's not even doing it full time. Another client of ours, Kamala, did a similar thing. Fully booked in 4 months just using this meetup strategy. So let me give you a little bit more detail about how it works. Because that first step, meet your ideal client, there are many different ways you can meet your ideal client. Let me just give you the 3 phases of how it works. Because sometimes people think, Sham, if I'm going to go from never having marketed before as a brand new coach to now you're expecting me to, place a Facebook ad or something like that, it's too big a step. So we break it down into smaller steps. So phase number 1 is you want to look at your existing network. Everyone has an existing network. The average person has 250 contacts in their mobile phone, over 250 people on their social media, each platform, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok. So you start looking at your existing network to offer value for free, to practice, to get your competence up so that you can also get your confidence up. So look at your existing network, existing people you used to work with, acquaintances, etc. Looking at your existing social media as well. This is where we start. This is obviously not where we finish. Next, we go to free forms of marketing. So that's first. Free forms of marketing include things like partnership marketing, creating blog posts for Google search. Also, I mentioned just a few minutes ago, Meetup. There is a website called meetup.com, which is almost free. It's technically about $20 US a month. To become fully booked as a coach to utilize that is amazing, especially when you use a precise system in order to do it. So we look at network, we look at free. You create a free meetup group, an event on that meetup, and then you offer value, teach people about solutions to their problems. If you're a career coach, it could be 4 ways to get a promotion. If you're a parenting coach, it could be how to discipline your kids without shouting at them, or whatever it happens to be. Side note, by the way, if I was to name an event, a tried and true method of naming an event would be how to insert benefit. So how to lose weight while retaining muscle, how to start a business doing what you love. Just a how-to name would be best. So in terms of meeting your ideal client, your existing network, phase 1. Phase 2, 3 forms of marketing. And then phase 3 would be paid forms of marketing. This would be things such as Facebook ads, YouTube ads, LinkedIn ads, etc. If there was some accelerator to everything I'm talking about, when we're meeting our ideal client, going back to this, when we're meeting our ideal client, if there was an accelerator to all of this, instead of always just doing text and image posts, the accelerator would be this thing called video. Try and use video where possible. It would just quadruple your business because don't forget, what is the definition of marketing? The definition of marketing is building relationships with people until they are ready to buy. And a video is the closest thing to real life that we can possibly put out on the internet right now. It's a video of you speaking. They say a picture is worth 1,000 words. Well, a video is worth 1,000 pictures. Nothing will build trust while you sleep because people can watch the videos while you sleep. So nothing will help you master your time more than this thing called video. In terms of naming your strategy session, let me give you a very easy template to do. On the left-hand side, you look at the type of strategy session because strategy session is just a generic name. You can call it a profile, an assessment, a health check, a review, or an audit. And then on the right-hand side, we look at your actual topic and we insert your topic. I'll give you an example. If you're all about life purpose, it will be a life purpose strategy session. If you're about leadership, it could be a leadership profile, a relationship assessment, a parenting health check. So the type is on the left and we just insert your topic and we create a name for it, whatever you think has the most value. So this is something that people are going to get value from regardless of whether or not they decide to buy anything from you. So don't forget, when we're looking at this, meeting our ideal client, asking for time, they will give us their time because what we're giving them, this strategy session, or this free event, what we're giving them has value. It sounds like it has value, and it actually does have value. It doesn't just sound like it has value. We're giving them solutions to their problems. It is like 80 to 90% value. And if it's a match for that person, then we go to the next step and we present our offer. A very rough and ready way. If you're thinking, but how do I present my offer? You know what? We went through it. This is a very rough and ready structure, not only to create your coaching package, but also to present your offer. So if I was sitting down with Rebecca and we were going through a client, what did we name it before? A parenting strategy session. Step 1, I'm talking to Rebecca. Step 2, what are your problems that you've got right now, Rebecca? Step 3, what are your goals, your dreams, your desires? What is the prize that you're going after? Step 4, I'm going to explain the path, Rebecca, of how we go from here to there. Let me explain something to you called values. Here's the importance of a value. If you've ever been conflicted, like you've got that mum guilt you mentioned, that's a values conflict. That's the problem. I'm not trying to solve her problem right now. I'm just explaining the path. That's a values conflict. Habits. You have to have habits. You have to have accountability. That's why that YouTube thing that you watched didn't succeed on its own, because there was no accountability, whatever it happens to be. We come to the end of the session. How do we implement all of these things? We've talked about the path, but you actually can't implement right now because it's such a short session. That's why I created this paid program. It's an 8-week parenting breakthrough program. Here's what's involved. It's $495. So that's how you would also do the package as well. Now, when I'm starting to do all this, wow, there's so much here on the board. There's so much on the screen. There are 3 critical things you must have. Number 1, we talked about the coaching package. Number 2, we also talked about this thing here called the marketing map. The 3rd thing you must have is, I know, as clear as you possibly can be, even if you watch back this, recording multiple times, you're going to have questions and you're going to get stuck. So if you want to know the fastest, easiest way to succeed is you're going to get stuck sooner or later. So you must have a mentor. That mentor gives you guidance, because if you don't have guidance, you don't have clients. This is the main problem, or the main beef I have with just watching an endless stream of YouTube videos or online courses. I used to pay $2,000 US for so many courses. Frank Kern's Mass Control, Armin Morin's Fast Facebook Ads Training, Experts Academy with Brendan Burchard. But the problem I had was I didn't have someone I could access. The fastest path to success is three things. Number one, can you ask questions? Can you access a mentor? If you don't have an expert that you can ask questions to, your system is not going to work. Take my word for it. Even during the pandemic, people were baking sourdough bread and it took them like 30 goes just to get sourdough bread that works correctly. Try building a business. It's literally 1,000 times harder. So if you don't have anyone you can access to ask questions, that's a problem. And that's what I experienced with all these other programs. They were sitting, I would say, in their ivory tower, or they were just way too popular and famous to ever, I could never ask them a direct question. But then what happens? So all of that money I spent on, the product launch formula or whatever it happened to be, I've set it all up, but it's not working. And now I'm stuck. Like, what am I supposed to do? I've done all the work. I've spent 56 hours creating all these videos, opening the cart, closing, but it's not working. People are dropping off left, right, and center. So what am I supposed to do? And then you get stuck and then you just go to the next thing and then the next thing. And now you're on this hamster wheel of always striving, never arriving. The fastest path to success, you have to be able to access and ask questions to a mentor. Number two, for that mentor that you find, they have to be successful in your industry. So does that person have success in your industry? If they don't, then you're following an incorrect recipe. There's plenty of fake experts out there. There's also a lot of people that they learned coaching certification from a company. And then that person they learned from is an expert in that modality, coaching. They are not an expert in attracting clients. And they've tacked on some marketing module as an afterthought. And now you're following this thing that's just been done as an afterthought to sell coaching certifications, not really working to attract clients. So does that person have real success in your industry? Not a marketing agency that's used to e-commerce and big brands and, as they're helping you as a coach, but you're like the 46th client they're going to see this week and all the other 45 are not coaches. Last but not least, do they have an exact process? If someone does not have a step-by-step plan on how to succeed to attract clients, that's a massive problem. Because I might love Gordon Ramsay, but if he doesn't have a recipe step-by-step I can follow, then he cannot be my mentor. So the fastest path to success is to find a mentor, someone that can actually help you, that you can access, that has success and has an exact process. Now, obviously, whether or not that is me or whether or not that is someone else out there, you need to have that person. If you've never, ever built a successful business before, you don't know what that looks like. If you try it on your own, you can, but it is a little bit like the blind leading the blind. So it's like if I've never built a house before, and now I'm just trying to follow YouTube instructions or a do-it-yourself course to build my roof and then do my own plumbing and make sure my floor is level. That's really hard. You know why it's hard? Because I remember back in year 8 when I tried to build a bread box and the door wouldn't close. So if I can't build a bread box on my own, I don't think I'm building a business completely on my own. It's going to look all lopsided. So if we go back to what we've covered so far, the main crux of it is that marketing map. You create your coaching package, but it's time to attract clients, which is going to take the most amount of time for most people. This is your plan. It's 3 circles, whatever 3 circles it is for you. Your one could look like Erica's I was talking about before, meetup, career strategy session, then a paid program. Write these 3 down. Everything else is a distraction. If you want to get results as fast as humanly possible, you only need 3 steps. You don't need 26 funnels, 13 touch points or anything like that. To begin with, to earn $100,000 a year or more as a coach, you only need 3 things. So write those 3 things down. Everything else becomes a distraction for you. Example. But Chan, what about the business card? I'm halfway through it and I'm get a special for 100 business cards for $10. Well, if you're running a meetup, do you need your business card there? Not really. If you're running a strategy session via Zoom or on the phone, no, you don't. So forget about the business card. What about the flyer? What about the Facebook group? What about the podcast? What about the 26 blog posts I was going to create? Well, if this is your strategy, if blog posts is your strategy, then sure. But if this is your strategy, you don't need a brochure. You don't need a blog post. You don't even need a website. Like Meetup is the website. So you could just forget about all of that. So one of the ways my clients can get results so much faster is as their mentor, I tell them what not to do because success is as much in knowing what to stop doing as knowing what to start doing. It's about not always putting your foot on the accelerator, but releasing the handbrake of what is really holding people back the most. So this is your action plan from now on. Everything else becomes a distraction. If it is not directly related to these three things, when it's time to attract clients, then just forget about it. And as all the way from a newbie coach to an existing coach, to even right now in our business, in the last 16 years, we've done over $55 million of revenue. I only think in three circles. Do not mistake the simplicity of that for its power. We're going to open up for some Q&A. I see some eager beavers have already got their hand raised. Charla, go for it, Charla.
Hi, Cham. I think this is kind of a math question. $495 for an 8-week thing. Is this, well, it's a lot less money than I'd been thinking this whole time. But is this for 8 weeks in a row that you're saying it? Is it, or is it actually over 16 weeks because it's every other week? And is this just a bargain basement price?
That's right. This is a bargain basement price for coaches that are just starting off, and it's the first milestone we want to get to. Now, obviously, some coaches, when they start off, they do pro bono free clients. Some of them, it could be $295. Some it could be, $1,995. It is 8 weeks in a row for $495 as the first milestone. And then after that 8 weeks is over, we transition to monthly ongoing coaching for that $300 a month instead.
So the fortnightly starts at the end of the 8 weeks.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
No worries, you're welcome.
Much clearer now.
No worries. Jane O, go for it, Jane.
Yeah, I actually had a very similar question actually to that one. So when you're meeting with them in the first 8 weeks, so you meet every week, would that be like an hour session or what?
Yeah, an hour session. Session every week for 8 weeks.
Doing that thing. And then looking at when you post, so that first little bubble of meeting your ideal client, how often in a post would you then sort of put like some kind of call to action in that as opposed to just purely putting out educational information?
See, the call to action, it's less about what frequency of posts and it's more about a percentage of time. So if I watched every video of yours, if I read every post, I want to get the feeling that 90% of the time that you're speaking, you're delivering value, and 10% there's a call to action. So it could be you could create 9 posts in a row and on the 10th one, you're offering something. It could be you create a 5-minute video and then in the last 30 seconds, you offer something and you do that every video. So it's just an overall sense that 90% of the time Jane is speaking, she's delivering value, and 10% there's some type of call to action. Now, a bit of a side note, but not all call to actions are made equal. So having a call to action at the end that says, and if you want to learn more, check out my free event is quite different to, and if you want to buy my program, I've got a special on right now and it's only $495. So it's just a general feeling of 90% of the time, I get the sense that she's delivering value and only 10% she's asking me to do something. Yeah.
Okay. And then would you call strategy sessions, like we have ours at the moment, is just book a free strategy session. Should that have more of a specific name to it?
You should at least have some type of a topic, like book a leadership strategy session or something.
Okay. All right. Cool. Thank you.
No worries. Think of that free thing that you're giving away as it has intrinsic value. So therefore, if you're going to sell something, you would probably have a good name for it. It would probably inspire people to take action. You'd probably have a list of bullet points. Here is what you're going to get. So just imagine you were selling this session legitimately for $200. What would they get out of it? Then at the end of it, add your 5-minute spiel, I was going to say, or 5-minute thing at the end for the next step. A lot of the things I've talked about today, I do realize there's so much more additional detail, but this would be the high level plan of what to do in order to start a thriving coaching business from scratch. So we looked at your coaching package, your marketing map, and having a marketing mentor. Now, a critical piece of that puzzle is the M in marketing map. How are you going to meet your ideal client? There are only 7 ways that I recommend you do this. All of the rest in my thousands of hours of testing, millions of dollars invested over the last 16 years is a distraction for you. If you want to learn what those 7 are, I put together an entire masterclass that outlines this and more. And this is the same process that we've used to generate over $55 million in revenue and and thousands of our clients have as well. So this is going to be perfect for you if you're a brand new coach and you want to save yourself a bucket load of time, or if you're an existing coach and you're just having trouble growing a thriving coaching business. All you have to do is click the link that's on the screen right now or in the description, and I'll see you very soon.